Morning, everyone. Today I am working on a little infographic that I'm thinking might be part of an essay I'd like to write about my Literature of Science course and the concepts that I've been sharing with you all here.
So, as I thought more about literature of science, scientific literature, and science literacy, I'm not only trying to communicate that these are distinct concepts and terms that I'm using in specific ways, but that I'm really trying to discuss and talk about the relationships between them. So I made this little infographic to go along with the essay I'm planning on writing. You can see that I have these arrows connecting all of these together, where science literacy is your command of language comprehension and vocab related to the content area of science in general, and more specific content areas if you are a scientist and you have an area of expertise, and more broadly if you are not a scientist and you're just interested in science. And that kind of brings me to, you can apply science literacy, the language of science, to the scientific literature, the technical publications, preprints, and textbooks from scientists that describe experiments, discoveries, so on and so forth. And you can also apply the language of science to what I call literature of science, which means any work of fiction or nonfiction that is about or pertains to science and technology and facilitates the discussion of how science and society interact and relate. So the more you use language, the more you strengthen it, which means the more you read literature of science and the more you read scientific literature, the more you build your vocabulary, comprehension skills, and command of the language of science. So you build science literacy by reading, right? By reading literature related to science or by reading technical scientific literature. And I also think that reading literature of science helps you to better frame your scientific questions as a scientist. So it helps you think about how your work relates to people who aren't scientists and society at large, and really important ethics questions that we all need to be asking ourselves all the time. And then also, I think that the more you understand scientific literature, the more you understand the technical scientific papers, the that also informs your understanding of science fiction, and that also informs how you interpret, a biography of a great scientist or a quote from them. And that in turn increases your literacy, because that all increases your ability to understand the meaning of language, of science in its most important and really only context, the context of society and the context of the formal practice of science.